Hello, second grade. Are you ready for your spring week 2 lesson? Last week we learned and I asked what was a sunflower. You showed me what you thought a sunflower looked like. And then, if you were in class with us, then we worked on parts of sunflowers and we made a basic sunflower. Before we get started, you do need paper, lined paper or printing paper or your sketchbook. You're going to need your pencil and a pencil and eraser, and then you're going to need something large and circular to trace, like a plate or a Tupperware top. A DVD might work, or CD. Please make sure that that's something okay to trace. And our learning targets. I can look for easy to draw shapes to begin my drawing, and I can add detail to make my flower look real. Before we go too far, I would like to take a moment and look at some of the really good examples of sunflowers I got from my students this last week from Spring Week 1. All right, so I have step by step on these slides. I'm going to put this in the Nearpod, so if you're not able to keep along, you can look for these in the Nearpod and go at your own pace. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to trace a large circle kind of towards the top. You can make it up really far if you'd like, but just don't put really far down at the bottom. Around the top. So we're going to trace just on the outside. All right, my little artists, do not press down hard. You will eventually erase that circle. If you press down really hard when you're tracing it, then it's going to be really hard to erase. So don't press down very hard. The next step is that we are going to add 2 more smaller circles. And they're going to be in the middle. They don't have to be perfectly in the middle, but we don't want them over here or down here or in other spots. So we're going to add 1 circle and then an even smaller circle. And it's going to start to look like we've done a bullseye. Now this is going to be, whoops, I'm going too far, sorry. This is going to become the very center of our sunflower. So we're going to make this circle, the one I'm touching right now, it's going to become the Bumpy Seeds. Let's look. One of the easiest ways to make this the Bumpy Seeds is to do a bumpy line all the way around. I am making sure that my bumpy line is next to the circle that I drew. And that's going to look like a bunch of seeds on the inside. Now, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to erase. See, like I said, we're not keeping those guidelines. So I'm erasing those, even the big ones, and that extra one I accidentally just made. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this guy in the middle. So I've got 1 circle that I made into bumpy lines and another one. The next thing that you can do is you can also add little bumpy spots around it. And this makes it look like you've got all those seeds that are on the inside of the sunflower. So that's the inside where the sunflower seeds are. The next thing that we're going to add are some baby petals. I call them baby petals. They're really just little petals. Now, before we go any further, a lot of you remember that we practiced drawing petals last week that kind of look like raindrops. These are what our baby petals are going to be. So I'm going to draw a baby petal. So I'm going to draw 1. And I'm not going to put them all right next to each other. I am going to space them out some. There can be 2 next to each other. So add about 8 baby petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'll do 7 and 8. And these baby petals are in the front. They're the closest to us, so they're going to be in front of all the other petals. Next, we're going to add the first row of big petals. These big petals may actually go behind some of the baby petals. So watch. Remember how we start with the U? We're going to make a big U behind some of these petals. Now I'm going to go around and I'm going to try and make all of my petals or all of my U's around the same size. Sometimes that means that my baby petals are in front of it, and that's okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make a big U there. You can make these longer. And remember, turn your page. It'll help. It helps me to turn my page. I'm going to keep going around. I'm making these big U's because remember that's going to be the bottom petal. The bottom of the petal, not the bottom petal. And then we're going to come down here. I'm going to make U's again. And ta-da, I'm back to the beginning. Some of these places I do need to erase some of these extra lines. Some of them I need to go back over and draw my baby petals again. And that's okay. Now, we're going to make these tall. Remember, it goes all the way up to the end. It's going to touch, but it's a V at the end. So, make your petals, that V, go all the way up to the circle, which is why I wanted you to have a circle there. And I am making sure that my V touches the edge of the circle but then comes back down and hits the sunflower. All right, now I've got some really long sunflower petals, and that's great. That's exactly what I should have. The next thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to erase that circle in the back because we don't see that. Remember I said that was a guide. So I'm going to erase that, and if I accidentally erase the tip of a flower petal, all I have to do is draw the V again. That's not hard. So let me fix some of these. Ta-da! All right, so then the last petals that we're going to draw are going to be the ones that are behind it. Last time when we were practicing these, we made our petals as tall as the ones it's next to. But we're not going to. We're going to actually make them a little bit shorter. So I'm going to make mine go up about halfway. So there's one that goes between, and remember, this is just the V at the top. So you don't have to draw the whole petal. We're just drawing a V that goes between each one. Ta-da! Back to the beginning. Next, we're going to work on the stem. This one's going to be easy. Y'all going to have all this done by no time flat. We're going to make a skinny stem that goes all the way down to the bottom of the page. Then we're going to add leaves. Remember, sunflowers' leaves are actually really big. It's the same kind of shape. It's got the round bottom and the pointy top, but they're really big leaves. Ta-da! And then you can add some detail to it. You can add those little veins that help the flower and the leaves get its food. And for right now, that is your project. You are going to draw a sunflower for me. You can add other details to it if you'd like to add it. There's a little bit, you can add a line to these that adds the, that kind of makes it look like it's got a a bend in the middle of them. This is kind of optional if you don't want to do those. You can add the lines for the leaves. Ta-da! So, your task is to draw a sunflower. Large. Fill up your page. But do not color it. Do not color it. You need at least one regular black and white sunflower, because next week we're going to work on coloring them. So keep one black and white sunflower. All right, if you have any questions, you can email me at afrans@amanaacademy.org. Check your Seesaw Art folder for your assignments. Bye.